Hello everybody, welcome back. This is video number 3 in our art journal series where we're making an accordion hinge journal from junk mail, recycled food boxes, envelopes, all kinds of stuff. So today we're going to be doing all kinds of fun stuff like printing on tissue paper. Let's go ahead and get started with that. I have a regular piece of 8.5 by 11 copy paper and a piece of tissue paper. The tissue paper has a slick, smooth side, and then the other side is a little bit muted and a little bit rougher feeling. We're going to be printing on the rougher side, not the smooth side. To help the tissue paper go through my printer, I'm going to be using some double-sided tape. Walking through the process with you, I am putting some double-sided tape at the very top and bottom of my paper, and then turning the paper over and putting some double-sided tape again on the top and bottom. We're going to adhere this copy paper right to our tissue paper. Today I'm going to be actually printing with my color laser printer. If you want to check out the printer that I'm using, I will link it down in the description box. Once we've taped the pretty side, I'm going to flip it over and just tape the edges to our paper. This just helps the tissue paper feed right through the printer. Remember to keep your designs away from the edge because the edges with the double-sided tape we will not be able to use. And I'm going to go print my design. Coming back from the printer, I'm just going to take my rotary cutter and cut apart these different graphics. If you want to check out the graphics for the gate door and the roses, I'll put a link to Graphics Fairy where you can get free graphics to print out in the description box. Cutting away the edges of the paper with the double-sided tape, and then your tissue paper just separates from your copy paper just like that. It's a great way to add words and graphics to your art journal pages. Great way to come up with designs for decoupaging on all kinds of stuff. So we have the graphics that we're going to be using today. We can clean off all these little bits and bring in our art journal. I thought for going into the new year, Happy New Year, we would start on this very first page. We're going to transform this envelope into an art journal page. Going into the new year, let's try to think positively going into 2021 after 2020. The first thing I'm going to do is cover the brown side of the envelope with some white gesso. Sometimes I leave the envelope the way it is. For this piece, I wanted to cover all of the brown up. So I'm going to use a small brush and gesso around this window. I want to keep the little window so that you could see through the front of the page into the inside. So a smaller brush just helps me stay a little bit more accurate. And once I get that painted, then I'll move over to a larger brush and just cover the front of the envelope. Now that it's all nice and dry, we're ready to get started. So let's work on the front of this journal page. I'm going to bring in my Liquitex medium, gloss medium, and we're going to do some decoupaging with this and the printed graphics on the tissue paper. So I'm just going to put a thin layer of the gel medium and just decoupage the gate door. See how that tissue paper just really disappears? I think that's pretty awesome. And then we'll put in our words right down here. And then to make this whole page waterproof, I'm just going to do an entire coat of the gel on the front and back. Now we'll put in the graphic of the roses on the inside so that the roses show through that little window. And I probably should have waited before doing this part because the front sticks to my mat just a little tiny bit because I'm impatient. That's okay though. This envelope is really super thin, so because everything is super wet, it does wrinkle just a little bit, but I kind of like that too. Once the Liquitex is dry, we're ready to start working and coloring in the white background. So I haven't used my Distress crayons very often. So I thought, you know what, let's go ahead and add some color to this envelope with some of these. I'll link these down in the description box too, but if you've never seen how these work, I highly recommend searching for Tim Holtz Distress Crayon tutorials. There's all different kinds of techniques and methods in using these. Because I haven't used them very much, I'm still learning with them. But one of the cool things about them is they dilute with water and they do dry. But even after they're dry, they still lift. And so I was experiencing that for the first time, trying to build up darker colors. I was just removing the crayons. So I think these take a little bit of practice and working with them just to see how they work. And I'm just using water to dilute, kind of like a watercolor paint, except it's not paint. I do like the muted colors of these though, when you dilute them with water. I kind of really like that. It's very soft and muted. You can use the crayons directly on the paper to add some really dark colors. But for this piece, I was trying to stay soft in the background colors. We're going to go ahead and clean off our work area and we'll let that set up and dry for a few minutes. And once it's dry, we're ready to move on. I'm going to bring in some stamp pads. I have the Color Box chestnut color, and I'm just going to distress the edges and make them darker. Sort of frame in our artwork for today. And I'll do that again on the inside. I'm already starting to fall in love with this art page for my journal. I think it's just so soft and very feminine. With the same ink pad, I'll bring in some rubber stamps and just stamp in parts of some images right to our page. I don't want to use the full stamp. My rubber stamps, I separate from the wood block and I keep them in empty CD containers. So they work really great for techniques like this. Just gives it a very distressed and aged look. Just using bits and pieces of the stamp. We'll turn it back over and do some on the front cover. The back cover of this envelope, I'm just going to distress the edges towards the end, but I'm going to leave that blank just in case I might want to add something to that page down the road. I'll just take a baby wipe and clear out that window so that none of the stamped images show up on my window. Isn't that pretty? I kind of really love this. Now we're going to bring in our journal And the little cardboard piece, the outshine box that we cut up in the video number 1, I don't want the green outshine part to show. So I'm going to cover this with some white gesso and let this dry. And because this journal page is pretty much done, I'm going to go ahead and glue this hinge together once we put the pages in. To help the hinge just blend in a little bit, I'm going to bring in my color box stamp pad and just ink up the edges. My art journal page is dry now, so we can add this to our book. Just sliding that paper hinge right through the slit. And now we can slide our cardboard piece through. Again, at this stage, I will go ahead and glue the cardboard piece in, and this will permanently put in this art page. And if I want to come back at the end to do anything on this back page, the very back side of this envelope, I will have to work inside my journal without taking this page out. Just adding a little bit more ink to this hinge so that it kind of blends into our journal entry. And there she is. I really love this. I love our first journal entry. I love that you can see through the window to the roses on the other side. And I hope you've enjoyed today's video. I hope it has inspired you to try something new or to work inside your art journal today. Just want to wish you a very, very happy new year. Stay safe, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye.